Hello and welcome to the regular Tuesday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID, Tottenham Till I Die. Tonight we have a few topics of discussion. We'll be briefly cover the Brentford win. We'll be discussing our transfer dealings. We'll be discussing the little complication with the rules and regarding the players we've got for our Europa League squad. And we'll be doing a preview of the Liverpool game. So without further ado, I'll introduce a regular friend of the show, Brad.
How you doing, Adrian? Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone in the chat. Good to come on after a win, or two wins, actually.
And I'll go to Tom. He looks fully recovered. He wasn't in the best of sorts over the weekend, so we missed him.
Yeah,
we missed his presence.
Been pretty ill over the last week, but feeling better today, which is nice. So
I think he's giving it to Ian, actually, because Ian's feeling a bit throaty. Probably called up Ellie as well. Queen Ellie, she's about.
I am a bit, but I'll do my best. It's actually not that bad, but my partner's got it, and there is tons and tons of it about. So, I'm not feeling my best, sore throat and everything, but we'll soldier on, eh? We'll soldier on. But yeah, I'm apart from that, I'm good. And as Brad says, a couple of wins, and we'll talk about the transfer window as well. So yeah, all good. And hi everybody in the chat.
Yeah, hi everyone in chat. If Tom, you want to handle the chat, or
yeah,
Ian,
I can do that.
Let Tom do it. Get in the swing of things as admin as well. So Brad, I mean, it's nice to see you smiling because I know you take it hard when we lose, as we all do. But we've won 2 recent games. I mean, I'll get you and Tom to speak about give us your take on the Brentford game.
Okay, well, just very quickly for about 15 seconds, I haven't smiled so much in ages watching Tottenham after watching the young lad score on Thursday night, and especially Mikey Moore's goal. That was just I was just laughing and cheering. That was just such a wonderful, wonderful moment. Anyway, the Brentford game, I thought it's one of our better performances of the season. I thought we were very resilient. We defended well. We couldn't really play with the normal high line that we normally do, and I just think, and the fullbacks didn't really invert. They kept very much where they were. And I just thought we just seemed to defend with a vigour, and a resilience. And I just wonder whether the game against Elfsborg, where we didn't really have to defend that much, whether that has really helped our guys sort of in their recovery. But no, I just thought they just played very well. And the goal we scored, like a lot of our goals this season or the second goal rather, came from the back. It just came from the pass out from the back and went the whole length of the pitch and scored. And that was just a great moment. Sarr does what we want to see him do more, and that run he made was brilliant. The pass from Son was brilliant. But generally speaking, we defended well. And I don't think, to be fair, I think Worcester missed that open goal where he hit it over the bar, but they didn't really have that many chances. I think Kinski made one decent save, and that was it, really.
Brad, I said on Sunday's show, Werner would have been proud of that miss.
It was harder to miss it than it was to score. If you'd have put that ball in and said, "Right, I want you to hit over the bar," I bet 9 times out of 10 it would have gone in.
No,
so, I mean, any particular shout outs like Bentancur on the whole back five?
Yeah, well, I thought everyone put a shift in, and the subs all made a difference as well, which was good to see. Like, as I'm very hit and miss with Pat Matasar, but he seems to play so much better when he comes on from the bench rather than starting, because he's just got energy and legs. And like I said, Brad, like that run he made into the box is what Pat Matasar is good at. And he can finish as well. Yeah. And that's what he needs to do. He needs players around him in the midfield that kind of do the other parts of the game, so that all he has to worry about is kind of trying to get on the end of things, being that last man running into the box. So, and it was a really great finish from him. Interestingly, that second goal, and it's a bit tedious, but if you include Jed Spence's clearance, actually every single Spurs player touched the ball before that ball ended up in the back of the net. So Jed Spence clears it, and a Brentford player does get a touch on it, and then it's in, and then we win it back again. So if you include that, every single Spurs player actually touches the ball in the build up to that goal. It was a really well worked goal back to the keeper, and then just as quick as we went back to Kaczynski, we got up the other end of the pitch and finished it with aplomb. So
they had 37 crosses and we had 50 clearances.
Yeah. A big shout out to my friend Steve, who you know, Adrian, who was actually at the game. He has actually got a ticket in the Brentford, and been right low down. In fact, you could literally look at the goal where we scored it. It's on the side, and he managed to get out alive. So he managed to keep quiet, I guess. But he went there. So it was a good.
Yeah, and we needed something. Oh, sorry, Karen, Brad. Karen.
I was going to say it's a good day all round.
Yeah. Ian, we needed to get something at Brad, didn't we? With the Liverpool came up, I think it's changed the whole mood, hasn't it?
I think so, and I pick up on Brad's point first of all. And sorry, by the way, thank you, Peter, for the Melbourne time check. As I say, no show of mine will ever be complete without a Melbourne time check. Absolutely no way.
And thank you, Peter, for the membership in the Irish Hotspur earlier.
In fact, I tell you what, I am not streaming ever unless Peter comes on and gives a time check from Melbourne. Not doing it. But in all seriousness, I watched. I was at I couldn't get a ticket for Brentford for love nor money, but I did go on Thursday to the Elfsborg game, and I met up with Tom's dad, Kev, and Paul Kramer, who's been on the show, and Glenn, who you may know, Tom. And I came out the ground, and there was problems with the trains, so it took about an hour and 45 minutes to get to the ground. It took me about 20 minutes to get home, But coming out of that stadium after that performance with 3 kids scoring goals was absolutely fabulous. Scarlett coming back, which looks like a real sort of like a new signing, sort of, but not quite. And then the Tottenham teams don't guts it out. That's, I think, maybe one of the issues. There are other clubs that will guts out a result, and we guts out a score on a result on Sunday afternoon. 50 crosses, and Gray, Davis, and what have you were like beyond magnificent. Spence, that whole back four, goalkeeper that did well. It's an interesting point about Saar, because there's a player there, but you keep waiting to see him. But that run, the pass from Son, of course. I mean, Son didn't have to take care, Katie. Much my partner's daughter come over to help, because my partner's in bed with this lurgy. So, the ball from Son was stunning. I mean, we've all criticised Son this season, but the ball from Son, I mean, Son didn't have to break stride. And while the goalkeeper might have done better, I never felt we looked likely to concede. There's always a chance when they had that amount of ball. But no, I'm really, really happy the last 2 results. And we'll maybe talk about what people think the team will be for
we will do
Thursday.
That later.
I wondered that. I've got a view on that, probably different to other people's. That's all.
Well, we'll all have different views, no doubt. Right, Brad, I'm going to give you each a go. Let's milk Elfsborg, right? Brad, especially as the kids. Let's give the kids a real pump up here and milk that game a bit. Give us your take on the first goal when Kulusevski's sweet left-footed cross and Scarlett's movement.
It was like so out of Roy the Rovers, wasn't it? Dane Scarlett's been out on loan to 2 or 3 clubs, hasn't really got a decent run, and he comes back to here, and the talk is about him going out on loan again. And if he comes on the pitch, then that's it. He's got to stay. And he came on replaced. I think he came on for Dragusin, didn't he? Because Dragusin went off injured. This is how how Roy the Rovers would work, wouldn't it? You see a cartoon of Dragusin. Oh, my knee boss, I can't play, and come on, Dane, warm up sort of thing. Richie out on the left, and Kulusevski put in an absolutely perfect ball. And that was probably the first real opening we had all game, like proper opening where this cross is going to cause some trouble. And Scarlett scores in front of the, the south stand, and I just watched it. I just said, "Oh, it had to be him. It had to be him." Which is, what commentators sometimes say. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful moment. And then they bring on Ajayi. Was it Donella Ajayi?
His full name is Oyin Demola, but they call him Demola Ajayi.
Right. He comes on, and I'm thinking, I don't know who this guy is. What position does he play? I don't know what position he plays.
Left wing, right wing, and right wing, and cam.
Yeah, Dragerson had got off. I thought maybe they're bringing on a defender, and then of course he got that ball, didn't he? After 3 minutes, he got the ball, and then he came in, played the 1-2 with Scarlett, and that really because even at 1-0, I always worry about Tottenham at 1-0 because they did have that chance at 0-0, didn't they? With the overhead kick, that's the only chance they had the whole game, and that could have ruined it. So when the second goal goes in, you think, well, that's it. We're not going to lose here. We needed that top 8 spot. We needed to avoid the playoffs. And also, the higher up the league you get should get technically an easier draw. And then I'm watching the game and I'm thinking, I think the commentator might have said the same thing about Mikey Moore. It's like, oh, Mikey Moore must be feeling really left out. He's actually played games for Tottenham, hasn't scored his first goal, and yet these 2 kids come on and score straight away. He must be really feeling it. And right at the end, he gets that ball, doesn't he? We all saw it. He gets the ball and he's in space. I'm watching it. I'm thinking, there is no way he's going to pass this ball. He's going straight for goal. And that's exactly what he did and scored an absolute. And that was just a wonderful, wonderful moment. And I'm not only cheering, I'm laughing as well, which is an absolutely brilliant moment. You could see on his face how much he enjoyed it. So, yeah, it was. Yeah, we haven't had a lot to smile about Tottenham. And it's only Elfsberg. But I just thought that was just a really nice evening, and when we needed to, go. Now we got to wait until mid-March for our first game, so we might even have a bit of time for a rest. But no,
I watched Scarlett as a 17-year-old, and out of 22 players on the field, he stood out. And you'll remember the goal he got against Shakhtar Donetsk when Kane scored 4 in his last game, and he got the swivel and turn.
Yeah,
the kids. The kid's got a future. I don't know if it'll be at Spurs. I mean, you don't know. You can't keep praising them all up, thinking they're all going to make it in the squad. They're not going to, are they? Maths don't add up. But I think he's a talent. I do think he's a talent. And because Lancashire scored 23 goals last year in the league and over 30 in the cup competitions, he jumped ahead of the queue, and Velez got pushed out on loan. Lancashire presses, though. So I could see why.
I saw some people before the game saying, "Oh, we just like Ange to bring on Scarlett before Lancashire," because everyone's calling for Lancashire, and fair enough. But when you think of it, if you look at it, Scarlett has got to be a little bit ahead of Lancashire in the pecking order because he has actually been part of that squad for longer and has gone out on loan with the aspect of actually playing him in games. So really, when you think of it, it was logical to bring Scarlett on rather than Lancashire. So yeah, I think I like the fact that Scarlett's here for the rest of the season. We don't know when Solanke's going to be back. Richarlison has done okay, but I still think he's lacking in certain things. And I think Scarlett would be decent to bring on as a substitute. I really do. I think he's got it. I think he could do really well, probably more so than he did on his loan spells. And look, we're never going to replace Harry Kane, but it's interesting that he's actually started his Spurs career off very similar to Kane in that he's gone out on loans and hasn't really worked, and then he's I think Kane played in his first game was in the Europa League game. Or whatever European competition in at the time. So he's almost mirroring that sort of progress. So who knows? If he does half as good as Kane, well, then we're going to be really blessed with a player.
Tom, the first goal was a striker's goal. He moved to get the ball from the sweet left-footed cross from Cooley. The second goal was more of a make-it-happen goal, which you like to see, goals out of blue. And the third goal was just a bit of individual brilliance as well.
It was refreshing just to see players be brave on the ball. Like I don't want to sound like I'm bad mouthing Johnson, because I think Johnson has a place in his team, and it's normally at the back post. But he is when Ajayi picked up that ball and just went, "Oh, stuff it, I'm going to run at them." That's when it caused chaos. Like it caused chaos for those defenders. Like when we're playing these low blocks, this whole season, we haven't had any players, apart from maybe Jed Spence, who are happy to pick the ball up and run at the defenders. Like everyone thinks when you're playing against low blocks that you need people like Ericsson or Maddison or players like that who can thread an eye of a needle pass. But actually, no. What you need is players to run at the defenders and cause a bit of chaos. And it's not going to work all the time. Some of the best dribblers in the world are only successful, 40 to 50% of their attempts at, running past the man and dribbling past the man. But that's 40% of the time that you're getting past and you're creating chaos. Those players then have to backtrack into the box. And, if you get to a position to shoot or to put a ball across, that's when, own goals happen. That's when tap-ins happen. That's, the sort of thing. It's the sort of thing that Dominic Solanke has really missed this season, is someone who is just going to run down the byline, run with the ball and get balls into that, 6-yard area where Dominic Solanke kind of thrives. So, I think, it was really refreshing to see. Obviously, he's still only young. It was only one game, Ajayi. You can't just suddenly expect that he's going to be doing that every single game. I think he'll probably get a couple more appearances this season, and then it'll be a case of seeing what happens next season. Does he go out on loan or does he stay? I think that's all going to be based off how the rest of his performances are for the season. Obviously, there's another player to compete with there now in the form of Matisse Tell, but it was refreshing to see just a player actually pick the ball up and run with it. It's what we've been crying out for this season. And then that seemed to give Mikey Moore the confidence to do the same thing as well. So, it was really great to see a nice bit of positivity in a year so far of a lot of negativity.
I think Bergvall runs with the ball as well.
He does.
And
he's got a long range of pass. Ian, our man Mikey Moore, 35 yards out, drives at their defence, cuts across the right hand side of the penalty area and scores in the left hand corner. We see VDV do that this season as well.
Oh, lovely! It was a lovely goal. I mean, I don't want to get too carried away because it was good and it was a real feel good with the kids, but you were at the game as well. Elfsborg were not very good. They weren't very good, and by the end of it, they were, I think, becoming quite tired. But you can only beat what's in front of you. His strength. We know he's got a wonderful turn of pace. Over 5-6 yards. That was over a little bit longer. Lovely finish. We know he's got that in him, and probably better than anybody that he's got that in him. It was a fabulous goal. Just can I pick up something that Tom said though particularly about that second goal? Is that one thing that I've been a bit disappointed in with Ange's Tottenham is that when I saw his Celtic team, it was all based on pace on the flanks. Maeda, Jota, who's just gone back, Abada, the Israeli, fast, tricky, getting behind, which is why I understand what he was interested in signing Werner. But the lads, these lads have got a bit of pace, and I think the future's really bright. I really think the future's bright. But of course, people want trophies now. Maybe we'll get one. We'll talk about the 2 upcoming games, no doubt, Adrian. But I think the club's got a really bright future, and these kids that don't fear anything, are prepared to run at opponents, take opponents out the game. Really, really, really good, and I really enjoyed Thursday.
Well, and to add to that, the bright future, we've just signed a kid from Liverpool, we've signed another kid from Man City, we've signed a kid from Ireland for $1.5 million out of a team there, but because he's 17, he can't sign till January next year. And we got Telling, and we might have got another one in. So
there's another one, I think. Yeah.
What's happening is that clubs are definitely going for the youth now. They're definitely going down that track because I think the squad cost ratio rules and all that, which we're not going to talk about, but mainly through finances, they're going for the youth option. And Spurs have put half the under-21 squad from last season's out on loan now. That's why they're not doing so well. But I think players know that you'll get a chance. You'll come to Spurs with the academy now because the academy will give them games and they've got an opportunity to get through to our first team squad, because I've never known a manager play so many youngsters. Normally they do when they're forced to for injuries. But if you look at how many youngsters we've played, and to put them in on top of what is a young team as well, which is, I mean, we must be the youngest team in the league now. I think only Chelsea could field the younger team. Well, let's move on to this, because I want all your takes on this and what you think. Tom, start with you. January transfer window debate, right? These were our incomings. Happy with them?
I'm happy with the players we've brought in. I'm disappointed in the timing of the players that we brought in. I mean, apparently we were in talks with Danso earlier in the window, and Lons wanted 30 million, and we said no. And then 3 weeks later, Radu Dragson gets injured, and we go, "Oh, we'll give you 25 million." So great, saved ourselves 5 million, but cost ourselves God knows how much more. Tell is a brilliant pickup. Like, he is, and especially getting him with an option to buy is absolutely monumental in that deal, because if we had just taken him on a loan and he has a cracking season, then every team's going to be after him, and we're not really going to. I don't think we would stand a chance, depending on if we were Champions League or not Champions League, based on Europa Cup win or whatever. So to have that option in place is absolutely huge for it. He is a fantastic player for now and a fantastic player for the future. He's still a bit raw. Like, he's not a finished article in any way, shape or form. He's not a true wide 1v1 winger. He will develop into a central striker almost certainly, but he can play on both wings. He can use both feet. He's good in the air. He can take his man on, and he's got a powerful shot on him. So I think Tell is fantastic. And Danso is an absolute unit. He will give us a bit of aerial presence that we're severely lacking. He's also got speed on his side, and he's very good at progressing with the ball. He can pass. He's not Romero end passing, but he's definitely better than Dragusin in terms of pass, which isn't hard. But he is quick, pacey. He can win the ball in the air. So, and Kinski has been brilliant since he's come in. So, if you had said to me in December, these are the 3 players that will sign, I'll be very, very happy. My biggest disappointment is just, why did we wait until the last 2 days of the window to actually bring in the players that we desperately needed? Is really frustrating. Tell on at the end is understandable. We didn't really want to leave Bayern, so it took a bit of convincing and stuff, but Danso could have been done at any moment in that window. And the fact that, Mark Gay, we waited until the last week as well to start slapping about money as well is disappointing. People have said that they reckon that deal could have got done if we had actually put down a little bit more money. How much is a little bit more money? I don't know. But yeah, happy with the 3 players. I still think we needed another, especially with Dragson injured, another defender and possibly a midfielder, but you can't do everything in one window. So we've done a lot of work, which helps us for the summer to get what we really need in, get out the players that we need to get out, and then go from there. Or not necessarily who we want to get out, but want the players that want to get out from us, I think is going to be more the story of the summer. But that's a whole different subject.
Ian, your take on these 3. I'll give you a little take on one, but Danso reminds me a bit of Yunus Kabul, for anyone who can remember.
Yeah, I've heard you say that, and what I've seen of him, I agree with that. I think from what I've seen, he is very much an Ange player, and I think what I'm really happy about is we're starting to buy players that, first of all, are in the Ange mould and in the Ange image, which is 2 things I like about that. First of all, we're actually buying players that the manager wants and the manager needs. And the second thing, perhaps more importantly, the fact that they're backing this manager and suggest that they're going to stick with this manager and let him build something. Because as I said, I've said on this and other streams, there's all kinds of things you can criticize Daniel Levy for. Some of them justified, some of them not. But one of the things is he's never had, for my mind, any real joined up thinking in respect of how he runs the football side of the business. Pick a manager, doesn't work, sack him. Pick another manager, spend a lot of money, get persuaded to spend a lot of money. That doesn't work, sack him, take a huge loss on the players. It's no way to run a football club. So for what we've done, I'm really happy about it. There's, I remember you older guys will remember John Gielgud, the actor, a very posh actor talking, Shakespearean and what have you. And he was asked a question. He was, an old man at the time, and any regrets? And you think, well, yeah, no, I never got to play Hamlet, which he probably did, or I'd like to have played Henry IV or whatever. And instead of that, he says, I wish I'd had more sex. And it just came totally out the blue. And you know who I'm talking about. It's the last thing you'd have expected him to say. And it's a bit like football fans, It's a bit like football fans saying, yeah, I wish we hadn't made as many signings. Football doesn't matter what you do for football fans. Football fans will always want more signings. But the defensive situation is a bit of a problem, because I think where we thought we were at the beginning of the window and where we are now is very different, particularly if Van de Ven, is out for any length of time.
Is that official though? That's still
no.
And in fact, I was going to come to that later, but as you're on it, the one report I read at the time when he came on for half time, and said it might have been quite someone only gave him a half. He said he felt something, right? That has gone from he felt something to he's going to have his leg amputated in the media. You know what I mean? So let's come on, wait for it. If he's had a scan, we'll know tomorrow, because we'll get the press conference. We'll know. There always seems to be an opportunity for people to promote the negative out there all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just thinking, and I shouted out a few blogs, went source me, and all I got was some said Paul O'Keefe and someone hitting Allstein. I went to them and all that. And their reports were ambiguous as well. They're ambiguous as well. They don't know, right?
It kind of all seemed like Paul O'Keefe on Last Word of Spurs said that Mickey Van de Ven before the Brentford game said that he was feeling a bit sore. I mean, that's not unsurprising. He's just come back from a long hamstring layoff, and I mean, where was he feeling sore? Was he feeling sore in where he was injured? Was he feeling sore elsewhere? I think it's a bit loose. And then there was another person on Twitter who said something along the lines of on the Sunday said, as expected, Mickey Van de Ven not in could look bad. So that's the one tweet that everyone's kind of, and I think his name is Darren Yarlett or something like that, who has had links, as far as everyone's aware, to the club in the past. But look, we'll find out tomorrow. If he is injured again, then that is something we need to be looking at long term as to whether or not this is going to be viable with Van de Ven, or if he's unfortunately just going to be one of those players that will never kind of see out a whole season and stuff. But with Danso coming in, it helps the situation. Davis is back, and Davis had a typical Ben Davis game on Sunday. 7 out of 10, did everything he needed to do. So yeah, it's annoying, but we can't be annoyed about something we don't know for certain.
Can I pick back up where I was? Sorry, I know I mentioned about the injury, and we start talking about Van de Ven, because I really did want to talk about Tel. I mean, I do think that's a really big coup. We were talking, beginning of January, even around Christmas time, about looking for a forward that could play across the line, and he looks like that player. Now, I wanted to pick up where I was saying earlier about pace, because although I think he's naturally going to be a central striker, and it might well be that with Richarlison being ineffective and probably he's 2 weeks away from his next serious injury, being cynical, that he will play centre forward. But I would really like to see him out on that right wing. Because he's got pace to burn, and as I've said, I think we haven't really seen the best of Ange Ball yet, because we haven't really seen that pace behind the fullbacks. And I think this boy's got it. He's got 2 good feet, can put a dig on him. So can cut inside and stick a left foot shot. He can swap wings, do a right. Anyway, I just think this boy is absolutely perfect for what we want. Absolutely perfect. And I think it's a fabulous piece of recruitment. Kinski, yeah, great. If Vicario comes back, the need for Kinski is perhaps not as great. But if you want another goalkeeper, which we did, we wanted a goalkeeper comfortable on the ball with the ball at his feet, apart from that one where he got the ball stuck between his feet against Brentford on Sunday. But beyond that, yeah, I think it's a decent window. We're still at least 2 windows away from where we need to be, maybe 3. Because I mean, someone's put in the chat there about I mean, that's a spelling error there, Wayne, about Gui. Yeah, and I think Gui may well be the replacement for Romero, whose heart doesn't appear to be in it. You know, he's a slow healer. He's never a slow healer when Argentina have got a game, and he's, you know, I mean, I am cynical. You know, I only want players that want to play for Spurs. We've got Vaskovic coming. We'll see what happens with Phillips and Dorrington. Dasco, good. And then, if we've got, I don't think, I'm not sure Dragusin will ever play for Spurs again, but that remains to be seen. That's the thick end of a year, that injury. If Romero goes in the summer and we can get Gui in as a replacement, I'll be a very happy man.
Yeah, someone made the point that all of the substitutes and the players that are injured that are watching the game on Thursday and all joining in the celebrations, but Romero was nowhere to be seen. Now I don't know what you all make of that, but you do think that he should be there at least. But look, that's that could be neither here nor there. As far as the window is concerned,
go on the window.
I mean, thanks to Tom and Ian, because they basically prevented me from saying anything, because they more or less said what just agree with everything they said, more or less. I do think that we probably do need a left back still, although maybe the fact that Spence can play there and Archie Gray can play there, I mean, maybe that's why I didn't go for one. But I do think we do need a bit of left back cover there, a left-sided player. I just also wonder, and this is just me spitballing or whatever they call it. I just wonder whether there's been a lot of pressure on the board and on Daniel Levy at recent games. I've never heard it so loud that we want Levy out. Never heard it so loud and around the ground and sustain. And I think I had a conversation about this. It's not going to make. They're never going to sell up or leave, but it might put a little bit of pressure on them. Might make them feel a little bit uncomfortable with what's going on. And I just wonder whether that's why we saw a lot of action towards the end of the window. But yeah, it is frustrating that we didn't get these players in, because you look at it one way. If we'd got Danster in right at the start, then he might have played instead of Dragusin, and we wouldn't have had the injury to Dragusin. So yeah, it was annoying, but we can't turn back time. We've got 3 decent players, and also I think with Dane Scarlett, I think we've got another player that you're not saying it's a new signing, but it's another player I think would be quite useful in the coming weeks. This story about Danso failed a medical at Juventus.
Yeah, so I was going to talk on that. So Danso failing a medical. So with him failing a medical, he basically failed something because they found something irregular with his heart, basically.
Right.
But what it turned out to be was basically like some sort of scarring or something like that, and it got disproven by other medical things. So it was a non-story, non-go or anything like that. So he didn't fail a medical. There was something that was a bit untrue on his on that scan, something to do with some scarring or something along the lines of that. Got disproven. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with Kevin Danso. Right. So if the fact that caused him to not go to Juventus and he's ended up at Spurs, lovely jubbly. That's good.
I think more to the point, if Juventus wanted him, he must be a decent player. That's the bit. People always want to spin the negative, and David, you're one, frankly, who does like to spin the negative. If Juventus wanted him, and our medical people are happy, You're older than me, David, so you'll remember Asa Hartford and
West
aborted
Brom,
transfer from West Brom to Leeds United. When I think the view is that Don Revie decided he didn't want him, so the medical people found something that probably wasn't there. But
and you can sorry, go on.
And also with the heart issues anyway, if it's something serious, they're a bit more sensitive in Europe about these issues than they are over here, because Ericsson could come to the Premier League, but he couldn't play in Europe again. The rules are different. So there is that. Okay, so I'll stick with you.
Make one more point. And also, I guess you could, if you want to sort of look at a positive or look at a good thing, maybe the fact that Tell didn't initially want to come to Spurs and Ange Postecoglou convinced him says something about our manager's ability to, inspire people and convince them to come to the club.
Well, actually, Brad, it was his player at youth level that played with him, Odebert.
I read that as well. And also special agent Harry Kane as well. Did a great job.
I think there was a number of factors that led to Tell changing his mind, and Daniel Levy and Langer were not two of them. So I think there's a lot of credit to other people apart from those people.
And Ange as well.
And apparently had a really good phone conversation.
I think the clincher was Spurs were insisting on a buy deal until only wanted to come on loan. And once we agreed to the loan deal, that got it back on the rails again, I think.
So Tell initially wanted to stay at Bayern. Like he wanted to fight for his place, but he hadn't been getting his opportunities. So he wanted a loan so he could go out, kind of prove what it was, and then go back to Bayern. So I can understand where David's coming from this. But the thing is that I see now is that we have a buy option. We've got 6 months, and he has 6 months to prove to us and for us to prove to him that this is the place for him to be. If he comes here and sets the world on fire and and he's getting all the love and praise that he deserves, then there's every chance that he decides that this is the way the place that he wants to be. With the fact that David was saying apparently there's a clause that he can turn us down. Well, that's in any option of a loan. You don't sign a permanent contract until that option is triggered, and then you have to there's probably about 3 or 4 sides that have to then sign that off. All that option means is that we have pre-agreed a price with Bayern Munich that if we want to buy him, that's the price. It's still up to Tell if he wants to then sign a contract permanently. So that's just basic transfer dealings.
I think want to add something to that, Tom, if I can, Adrian. And that is when he comes to the club and he's here now, and he's in training, and there's all these 18, 19, 20-year-olds alongside him, all looking to get in the first team. And we're talking about a golden 10-year future for them. I've got a good feeling about this. I really have had that before and been disappointed, but I just think he's going to be. He's so much what we need.
The thing is as well, irrespective of if he's here beyond this, because again, this is science being sorry if you believe, that he'll be, you're deluded if you believe he'll be past summer. Well, who cares? Like at this present moment in time, if he comes in and makes a massive difference to our season and we end up winning a trophy or getting into the Champions League via winning the Europa League because of him doing that, then actually that's good enough for me to then be like, well, we're now where we want to be. We can now attract even better players than we would have had he not been there, and then he might decide to stay. Like you have to kind of live in the now with a view to the future a little bit, but you can't if you just spend the whole time worrying about we might go back to Bayern, we'll go back to Bayern, then that's just, I don't think Ange would have allowed Tell to come in if he thought that all he was doing was readying him to go back to Bayern. I don't think that's how Ange Postecoglou works. And like again, you can say that the board are only trusting Ange for certain reasons of sales and all of this other stuff. But at the end of the day, if they're letting Ange get on the phone and talk to players to get them to come to Tottenham Hotspur, then they obviously have faith in what Ange is doing. So,
right, I want to talk about Johan Langer. I mean,
Do we have to?
If you look at yes, we do. He's been beaten with a lot of sticks recently. I want to get your take on it. First, want to lay the groundwork down. I mean, if you look at these three that have come in, we know Kinski's proven. We've seen him play. We haven't seen Danso play. We know Tell's got a good rep, but we haven't seen him play yet. But then if you look at Gray, you look at Bergvial. He's not called Bergvial, isn't it? Supposed to be the pronunciation in Sweden. And you look at Odegaard, who we've yet to see play. And the only real miss to me is Werner, right? So the players he's actually brought in, there's a few we need to see, but we're confident will be good, right? And yet he's taken a bashing. Now, I was not happy with this window. My main grouse for this window is we've been screaming for a left back or a left centre back or a left centre back that can play left back like a David Henko at final. I mean, why haven't we addressed this? It's just completely perplexes me unless we tried but couldn't get someone. I mean, Dorgu went to Man United. It would have been good. I think Henko would have done a job from Feyenoord, 27-year-old left, guys, anyone?
I've got a quote here. I don't think he's done his official state of the window, but the Spurs Express are reporting Jonathan Lang on fans questioning why business wasn't done sooner. And he said, that's a fair question. We were ready to do business on the 1st of January, but it's not as easy as that. Well, I haven't heard that excuse at all. And he said Lang cited the change in the format of the UEFA competitions as part of what made an already slow-moving window even more tedious across Europe this year. So,
why the 1st of January? It should have been since the summer window closes. They should have been doing work.
Exactly, I know.
But I think the point that and I read this elsewhere, Brad, was that some clubs weren't willing to do business until they knew if or where they would be in Europe at the end of the window.
Right.
At the end of because if you were going to be in the Champions League, definite, it was a different matter to if you went out and therefore needed to sell, or if you had a playoff game. So there's maybe something got to be looked at with that. I mean, we didn't used to have transfer windows. Players could buy and sell players up to. There was a deadline, but it came up about the beginning of March or something like that, or second week of March. I've never understood why there had to be a transfer window. I understand why get to March you don't want to have people with the right to go out and buy, half a dozen players to win them a league. That's fair dues. But so I think that probably did slow it down a little bit as well.
I think that is. I don't think that's an unfair statement for Lang to make. Like, I think that is part of that scenario, and it was the first time. Next year might be a little bit different, but like teams still did business. Like in those first few windows, it just ramped up in the last few days. But can you say that last year's January window was any different? Nothing really happened in the first few weeks, and then it ramped up in the last few days. Like, maybe what they need to do is actually make the transfer window like 5 days long, and then get all that business done. Rather than have drawing it out over a month. I don't know, but it's always going to be a frustration in January. Most teams, barring City, most purely did loans. City spent 176 million on players. No other club came anywhere near to spending that much. Villa probably brought the most players in.
I think they've heard a whisper.
All loans. Even ours, like actually, Kinski is the only player that we bought. Both Danso and Tell are loans. Danso with an obligation to buy, and Tell with an option to buy. So, actually the outlay for the month for us is only 12 million. So, might plus or minus the signings we made for the academy. The one thing I will give Lang a credit for is he seems to be very good at picking up the best under 18-year-olds. Like, he's going around and doing a very good job at attracting the best young players to our team. That seems to be what he is very good at. Unironically, that's actually when he was at Villa, what he got demoted to being in charge of. He was originally their director of football and everything like that, and then I say demoted, he got moved to being the person who was bringing in like the youth products and things like that. So it seems to be like his problem is spotting who are the players we need right now and who we can get and things along the lines of that. So it's frustrating. I mean, it's going to be interesting in the summer if Levy and ENIC are still around. Obviously, there's murmurs of is the reason we're not spending money and doing stuff like that because there's a takeover in the offing and yada, yada, yada and stuff like that. The thing that'll be interesting in the summer is that Paratici's ban will be done.
July ends, yeah.
Will Levy seemed to prefer Paratici. So will Levy, if he's still there, put Paratici back in that position? Or not? I don't know. I think that's going to be an interesting one come the summer. But yeah, I mean on the window, as I said, happy with the players, annoyed at the timing, still more work to be done.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen with Romero because he'll be down to 2 years on his contract. That will have an effect on whether I reckon Davis is given an extension on his contract as well. Because at the moment you'd have to say yes because we need the bodies, but he's not an upgrade. Let's be fair, not if we're moving forward. And like we see how the other injuries come. And the other thing, when we're talking about Europa League and all that, we don't even know if we're going to be in Europe next season.
Yeah, the thing is, we've technically got 4 opportunities of Europe, right? League is a bit of a stretch. I'll say that, but the winner of the Carabao Cup gets Europa League, as far as I'm aware.
I think so, yeah. Or was it the
and
FA
then
Cup?
the winner of Europa League gets Champions League. Winner of FA Cup gets Europa League, or depending on the winner, the runner-up, I think gets that position, don't they? So there is opportunities. Plenty of opportunities to get into.
Guys, I want to run this past you actually because you triggered something in me, which is good because I always feed off you guys anyway. The Man City thing and their big spend, and they're up for financial fair play rules, 151 rules. Do you think? I think this is what I think. I think they've been given the word because they said their punishment is imminent. Right? They are guilty. Right? They will be found guilty. Mark my words. Right? So. Do you think they're having this big spend up, getting Haaland on a 9-year contract because they know they're going to be relegated?
I think there's one of 3 things. They either know that absolutely nothing's coming their way. That's option 1. 2, they're getting relegated, so they've offloaded players that are on like your Kyle Walkers and stuff like that, and brought in a lot of young players. And basically, I think they've said to these new players coming in, and I think they said to Haaland, look, chance we're playing in the Championship next year. It's only going to be 1 year. We'll be back where we are, and we'll have the best players, so we'll be back to where we were anyway. And then the third option is that they are getting hit with a transfer ban. So that's why they've done pretty much all the work that they needed to do in the summer now. So I think they're your kind of your 3 options that relegated, and they're just prepping for the fact that they'll be in the Championship for 1 season and just dealing with it. If anything, actually being in the Championship for 1 season will probably help them with PSR and all of that, because then they won't be under the Premier League rules. So they'll probably spend even more money. But yeah, I to be honest, I don't really want to talk too much about City and everything that's going on.
No, we're going to have a little bit of fun with this because, Brad, I'm going to ask you, right? Do you think, this is me being devious as well, do you think that some teams, if they needed a couple of players just to push on, but couldn't do it for the new squad cost ratio rules, would deliberately get them players in, and if they got deducted, say, a 6-point penalty, they'd make that 6 points up and still end up where they want it to be?
Well, look, first of all, I don't think City will get, even if they get found guilty, I don't think they're going to get any bad sort of thing, because unfortunately money talks. And I think, we all know how much money they've got. Millionaires and billionaires run the world now, not politicians. So yeah, and that's just my cynical lefty stuff coming out. But so I don't think anything will happen to them. Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah, why not? I mean, how many points would you have to deduct from City to relegate them this season? You'd have to deduct an awful lot of points. So they're miles away from winning the title. So you might be willing to take that
Everton
chance.
Forest got 6 and 4 point deductions for just being over the limit, and they're mitigating surplus. And Leicester couldn't get done because they were in the Championship. So if you're looking at the amount of charges they've got, and Chelsea haven't been charged yet, and if you read the articles in the Times and the Guardian about them, they're going to get well screwed, right? Because they've admitted guilt anyway. Whereas like Man City's just been deliberately obstructive. They've not cooperated at all with the inquiry. So they're not getting away with it. I don't see it. But if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to hold my hands up.
They don't seem particularly worried about it, though, do they?
I think they've planned they've planned for a future no matter what happens.
I don't know. It's and the other thing is, if they get found guilty, are they allowed to appeal? And that appeal could go on forever.
No, because they're going to put a limit on that.
Right.
Ian, what's your take on this? So then we'll move on.
Yeah, for people I think you may know, but people in the chat, I used to chair these judicial panels in Scotland, albeit not ones with these kind of allegations, but I've done, misconduct ones. I've done betting, players caught betting, officials caught betting, and various things like that. This is obviously on a different level. And I'm not sure, it would be unusual. I mean, certainly as a chair, I would never dream of tipping the wink to anybody of what way the panel were thinking. But do they think they might get away with it? It worries me. They've instructed some of the very, very best legal minds in the country. And I know from the previous English cases and one I dealt with up here, that the good lawyers tend to drive a little bit of a coach and horses through the rules and regulations. They're written by lawyers, but they're challenged by better lawyers. So I'm not, the fact that they've spent this amount of money, you could put, hang on a minute, that squad is dying on its feet. They're going absolutely nowhere. So they've spent the money now because they know they need to spend it. And, with the Sovereign Wealth Fund, they can spend within reason more or less what they want. Or they've been warned by their counsel, who will also feel that they know which way the case is going. Look, this is likely to go, you're likely to go down here, and that there are going to be penalties. So you might need to spend.
Do you also think that the threat of the incoming football regulator has focused the minds at the Premier League when they've gone to
that's a really good question. That is a really good question, because we haven't really seen what the terms of reference as a regulator are going to be. It's not something I'm particularly in favour of. We don't have a regulator for supermarkets or, the car industry or whatever. I'm not quite sure why football should be singled out to have a regulator. But
Audi was the regulator, wasn't it, with their price match promise? So I don't know.
Well, yeah.
And we know, though, don't we, that there's been so many institutions, even outside of football, that when they've regulated from the inside, you always find that a scandal and corruption comes out about 10 years later, didn't you? Because they're self-regulated, right? So I don't know. I want to hear more about it and the powers and all that,
The bottom line is I've got a view, but I suspect that they are going to get a penalty. But what, I don't know. I mean, certainly if it were me, I'd be saying, well, for every year you broke the rules, you can't play in the Premier League. So if you broke the rules for 7 years, you can't come back for 7 years. But these people never give punishments like that. So, look. We all speculate on things like this. Nobody knows. We all see a conspiracy, because you can't beat a good conspiracy theory, can you? Jesus.
Jose, I sent you the link, by the way. Feel free to jump on, mate.
Yeah. Evening, Jose, my friend. Always good to see you. Levy will start paying your wages. If Levy pays my wages, I don't mind.
Well, you'll only get 42% of what you're getting now. So
but 42% of fuck all is still fuck all, Tom.
Right, let's move on to where the transfer window has affected us, because by Thursday, the Europa League squad must be ready by Thursday this February. So obviously Wednesday is the cut-off time. I don't midnight, 11 o'clock or whatever it is like. Now with that, as most of you'd be familiar with anyway, I mean, we have to have a minimum of 8 homegrown players, but we got 12, right? We got Forster, Whiteman, Austin Davies, Johnson, Solanke, Moore, Maddison, Spence, Gray, Danso and Scarlett. With the Danso one, we know is Premier League homegrown.
I don't think Danso counts as homegrown
for the Euro. Right, fair enough.
Because it's 3 years from the age of 16 to 21, and I'm pretty sure although he came up the academy of Reading and then
he was 6 years with Reading.
Yeah, but the problem was he left for Augsburg when I believe he was 16 or 17. So I don't think, even though he did a loan period at Southampton, I don't think he actually did 3 years in between. So I don't.
Well, it's not only that, Tom. To add to that, we don't know what the rules were in place at that time. The rules may have been different.
Yeah, I as far as I'm aware with the rules now, I do not believe Danso will count as homegrown for.
Fair enough. Well, we'll know Thursday anyway, won't we? So,
he does for the Premier League, which is just ludicrous. Like, why are the rules different? Surely they should just match each other. But
the reason I'm bringing it up, because you know that this season we were only allowed 23 players because we only had 4 other homegrown, should have been at the academy 3 years, and the other 4 didn't have to be, right? That we had out of the 8. And all we had was 2 goalkeepers, Austin and Whiteman. So that's why our Europa League squad is 23. Now, it's still the same. Now, the thing is, so we've got 12 here. This is why I'm bringing this up. Now, the foreign quota, we've got 20. You've got Vicario, Kinski, Udogi, Porro, VDV, Romero, Dragson, Saar, Basuma, Bergvall, Bentancur, Son, Richarlison, Tell, Kulusevski, Odebert, come back for injury. Solomon, you could probably Solomon and Menhu, you could probably sort of skip, but you got Werner and Villes, you could probably skip. So even with that, you got 17. Well, 17.
Minhuk's on loan, isn't he? Minhuk's on loan for the rest of the
season.
Yeah,
he's at QPR. Solomon's at Leeds, and Villes is at Real Betis. Right. So, but if you take those 3 off for now, because I only put them in there for end of season woes, really, if we're in Europe at the end of the season. So if it's at 17, add the 12, we got 29, right? Now, under normal circumstances, we'd be able to have 25. But if Danso don't count, that's 23. And we're only allowed to change 3 players in the Europa League squad. Only 3. So everyone's saying Kinski, Spence, and obviously the other one's got to be Tell, right? He ain't coming in and sit on the bench, right?
I don't think he's going to register Kinski. I think Austin has done enough to prove that he's capable as the backup for that, and Vicario is coming back in. So I think Vicario will take, the presence of that, and he'll trust Austin where Vicario can't. So I think Kinski will miss out this season.
Makes sense.
And yeah, I think a few people have nailed it with what they said here. Werner drags him, Foster out, Danso, Spence, and Tell in. I think that's
it's not enough. We've got to remove 6. We got 29. We've got to remove 6.
Yeah, but we haven't
those 3 in.
But no, because with you're talking about 3 for 3 on what we've got already.
No,
we didn't have 29 registered already.
Yeah, but you can change. No, but you can change 3. Look, we got 23 registered now.
Yeah,
you can change 3 of those 23.
Yeah,
but you bring them in, but the total's still got to be 23. What I'm saying is we've got 12 homegrown, and we've got 17, not the extras here that make up the 20 because they're out on loan, right? That's 29. So out of that 29 players, 6 have got to be taken off to add them 3. 6 have got to be taken off.
No, but
no, it doesn't work that way, Adrian. That can't be right.
They weren't registered in the first place. Odebert wasn't registered.
Okay, if I'm wrong, I'll hold my hands up. Right, we've got 23 now. If nothing had happened, we'd have the same 23, right? But with the 23 we've got, we can take 3 of them out and add 3 to the squad.
Yes, correct.
Right. Okay. Well then, who out of this list is not in the squad? Otherwise, it's 6 got to go
So
out.
the easy way to do it is we've got the squad that was picked. Who's got to come in? Spence.
Tell,
Let's say Kinski for the
Danso.
time in. Spence, Kinski, Tell, and Danso.
You've got four players that could potentially come in.
Yeah.
But one of them is Kinski.
Yeah.
The logical thing from my perspective is you take Foster, Werner, and Dragusin out.
Exactly.
And replace them with Spence, Tell, and Danso.
Yeah.
I agree with that totally.
I think that's all you can do. I mean, it would be monumentally idiotic to not put Spence in this team for the second half of the thing. I'm not confident that isn't gonna not happen, but you would have to be stupid to not do that. So Reguilon is already not registered in it. Odegaard is already not registered
and injured as well. So
because they've been injured,
all the ones not registered will be not registered again.
Minhill on loan. Les is on loan.
I think I had a bit of a brain fart with that one, but never mind. Listen, football's made a fool of me many times, and I'm confident it will do so again. Right?
I think we can safely say that there's going to be one. I'm not saying controversial person being left out, but there will be one player that we like that'll be left out, and I think that could be Kinski. Before it was Spence, this time it could be Kinski. If what you're saying about all the,
unfortunately, I think Kinski is the logical one to miss out. Austin's been trusted for the last few games now by Ange, so he clearly sees him as a good backup. We do not need 4 keepers registered in a 23-man squad. Absolutely no way. If we're somehow unlucky enough that Vicario gets injured again and then Austin somehow gets injured, then Alfie Whiteman, it's up to you, my friend.
I'm sure Archie Gray could play there.
Well, probably, yeah. But
out of these 20, you're looking at Dragusin. Looks like he may be out. Well, we don't know the full story. We'll know tomorrow at the press conference. He might be out for a month, 2 months, and I might just.
I think it might be longer than that. It's a done his ACL.
No, I mean Dragusin because he's done his knee.
Yeah, his ACL,
he's done an ACL. That's not a month or 2 months.
You're looking at almost 9 months for an ACL.
I would have thought 9 months, maybe a year, if it doesn't heal properly. Yeah. He's not playing till maybe September at the earliest.
I mean, it was. I think Bentancur didn't come back until about October, November, did he? Right. Although he was supposed to have been a jarred knee later on in the season, but
what was supposed to have been a jarred knee. Well, we'll know tomorrow if it's as serious as other people are making out. I mean, there's been no scam reports yet, but first thought it was a jarred knee or a twisted knee, and now it seems to have gone to ACL. But that wouldn't be a jarred knee, an ACL. An ACL would be from behind you. Sorry, go on.
He's come out with a comment. He's actually been interviewed on it, Dragusin.
Has he?
Yeah, done the usual, with I'll come back stronger than ever, that sort of stuff, So, I'm fine.
But Adrian, just on that list that you've got up on the screen at the moment, there's only 14 players on that list that we will register. But you haven't got Danso on there, so that would be 15. And then you've got your 8 homegrown, which would be 23.
Yeah, if you take 4 of the other homegrown off this list, you'd have to take 4 off of this list.
Scarlett won't. So Scarlett and Moore will be on the B list.
Breaking news.
Go on.
Yeah, I've got the QPR game on in the background. Yang has just come on 66 minutes for QPR. So I will keep you posted of anything that happens.
I missed that. I've got it on in the background. I must have missed that.
Yeah, he's just come on 66 minutes.
Yeah, anyone watching scored or something, like that. But yeah, so I think Gray as well. Gray, Scarlett. No, Gray
and Burville don't count because they were brought in as 18-year-olds and they can't go on the B list.
But yeah, Scarlett and Moore they'll be on the B list.
Yeah, Scarlett, I watched him as a 17-year-old. He's 20 now. So
okay. Talking about Dragosin, this is on the club website or the app. Radu's message to the fans. Radu Dragosin has penned a message to supporters after it was confirmed he has sustained an ACL injury. And he goes on about the injury, and he goes on to say, football gives you incredible moments, but also challenges, some harder than others. Unfortunately, I now face one of those challenges, a torn anterior cruciate ligament in my right knee. That being said, one of the many things I've learned from this sport is that behind every obstacle hides an opportunity to learn and grow. Football doesn't just teach you how to win, it teaches you how to fight when things get tough. A difficult period lies ahead, but I will come back stronger, and I will work hard every single day during my post-surgery recovery to make that happen. And then he goes on to basically thank the teammates, thank the supporters, blah, 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 blah. So he's going to be out for a while.
Yeah. There's been an awful lot of ACL injuries this season. Martinez at United's just had one, and things like that. So, I mean, it's all Angie's fault, obviously. But
yeah.
There were cries to bring Phillips. See, I come at from a different perspective. There were cries, bring Phillips back. Why we let Dorrington go and all that. And my take is, when the other centre-backs are fit, these kids aren't getting on the bench, and that's not good for their development. You need to ride the storm, as far as I'm concerned. Ride the storm and try and get by with what we've got. I mean, just on the subject of loans, I mean, you've got Keely and Donnelly at Orient. This is going to be another interesting thing if we're in Europe next year, because Vaskovic and Divine are being. Vaskovic, to me, walks straight into this squad, right? That's just my opinion. I think he's that good, right? And then they're at Westerlo. Phillips is at Stoke. George Abbott can play a centre-back, captain of the under-18s and all that. He's at Notts County doing well. Dorrington's gone to Edinburgh. Veliz, we don't know if we're going to sell him. He's at Spaniol. Gill was doing quite well at Girona. Solomon's doing well at Leeds. Min Hyuk's at QPR. Ian's given us live updates. And Hoiberg's
my phone needs plugging in.
All right, okay.
I can tell you, though, that Trump says he has he's instructed advisors to obliterate Iran if it assassinates him.
Right,
well, that's comforting to know.
Yeah,
so basically, it doesn't matter who we sign, what we do, because the world's going up in smoke.
It would be very Tottenham that just as we're about to win the Europa League,
the Premier League, the Premier League, and Spurs leading 3-0. They're 5 minutes away from the Premiership, and what's that mushroom cloud over there?
And on this list, I don't know if we sold Craig Matthews to Mansfield. We may have done.
I mean, looking at this list, I think Solomon. I think Solomon will be sold. Holberg obviously is going. Who else was there? Gill was going. So
yeah, I think there's a number of players on that they'll go to the clubs that they're at now. I mean, if Leeds United get promoted, I fully expect them to dump a load of money on signing Solomon. I know one or two Leeds United fans, and they're very, very happy with his.
I would have liked to see more of him if he does stay, because he kept Mudryk out of the Shakhtar Donetsk side when I was out there, and Mudryk didn't necessarily set the world alight when he first came to Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea are doing well now, so maybe he's playing well on a regular. I don't know,
Well, he's not playing at all at the moment because he's banned. So,
right, okay.
He got banned for substance
abuse. Did he?
Issues. Yeah.
Oh.
So
he'll get a 2-year ban minimum then.
Yeah, I think he's.
And 3 if you appeal and you fail in your appeal, it goes up.
Yeah.
Right, we'll move on to the happy stuff, our injury woes. If I've missed anyone out, let me know.
You've missed Matthias Tell off of that. He'll be injured before Liverpool.
Okay. Right. You want to do the chat before we carry on, and why someone's going for the chat. We got 33 of you watching, which is very good for this time of night in the UK. If you like the content, please subscribe to the channel, smash the like button,
hitting the like button does more for this channel than anything. Hitting like puts it onto people's home pages when they log onto YouTube and stuff like that. So a simple button click goes a very long way to helping the channel. And I think we're very, very close to 1,000 subscribers now on the channel. In fact, we're over 1,000 subscribers.
We're over 1,000 now.
Actually, I've been remiss because I haven't brought up Brad's link. If one of you can get that on YouTube, Blue Sofa Songs.
Oh, yes.
Normally I pump the guests when they come on, but I've been busy today. I only just got in from shopping before setting this up. So, we can get Blue Sofa Songs up. That'll be good. And a little hint on Friday shows. Our Friday shows will be going out at 10 o'clock UK time. This is so as we can be more aligned with American and Canadian.
I can say that's quite late.
Yeah, it is. So, and I might even push it to 11 o'clock, but the next 5 shows on a Friday going at 10 o'clock. So that means it'll be, if they're 5 hours different on the East Coast of America, 6, mid and 7 or 8, it can go to. It gives them, it's a more suitable time for those viewers. And let's be fair, they do get up all hours to watch Spurs play, right? So we're just trying to reciprocate. So, injury woes. Vicario, Udogie, Romero, Dragusin, Madison, Solanke, Johnson, Werner, Odebert, VDV, question mark. With Romero, I may be urinating into the wind. Wouldn't surprise me if he was fit for Thursday against Liverpool.
No,
you think we're going to see any of these guys soon, guys? Any of you can jump in. Do you think we're going to see any of these anytime soon? Or you think we're another week or 10 days away for
Johnson's quite close now.
Is he? I haven't checked. I want to see the press conference tomorrow. Will be more revealing.
Yeah, VDV we don't know because, as you say, I think Vicario might be close.
And said for most of them it would be mid February. I think Odebert is a little bit later than that.
And Vicario, Odebert and Vicario a bit later.
Yeah, I think Vicario and Odebert are not due back till March, but the others are meant to be back within February, although every press conference Ange basically says that Romero's a little bit further away, and before you know it's in Buenos Aires. So.
You took the words out of my mouth. So. Yeah.
I mean, before Davis came back in, he never mentioned him. And none of the press reporters asked, and bang him straight back in, and he's done well. Right?
I mean, Romero just frustrates me. So I love him as a player. I think he's a fantastic player, and you can see a massive difference in us as a team when he is playing. He just doesn't seem in it, does he? He doesn't seem invested.
No, it's quite weird. He sort of.
Yeah. Word is he loves Ange though. A strange one. That might keep him at the club.
I mean, he might genuinely be having a bit of a it's weird ones with injuries. You can feel like they're fine, and then before you know it, you get that little niggle back and stuff like that. The one thing I would say with the club at the moment is they are being quite secretive over the type of injuries and the length of injuries. It's a knock, always sore, bit tight. Like there's no this is what's wrong. This is the timescale they've given, but be mindful it could be a few weeks either way of that timescale that given based on how the player feels. It's just it's a difficult one. But my stance with Romero is if he wants to be with the club, then he'll sign a contract in the summer to extend. If he doesn't sign a contract in the summer to extend or shows no want to sign that, then sell him in the summer with 2 years left, so you get a decent fee. That's right. But we are better. We are currently a better team when he plays than when he doesn't, but it's just frustrating.
Right.
QPR have just scored, but I don't think Yang was involved.
You're ahead of me now. You're ahead of me. Yeah, got the ball in midfield.
It's difficult because their numbers aren't that clear on their shirts.
That's handball. That's a penalty, surely.
Right, Tottenham stream, guys. Tottenham stream.
Give it.
Yeah, right.
Anyway,
as we're approaching the announcement of the Europa League squad, well, we do have a bit of good fortune because we qualified in the fourth. We missed 2 games, so the Europa League Cup draw round of 16 is Friday, February the 21st. And the first 8 teams are seeded.
It was Yang that was pulled down, but they scored anyway.
Yeah.
Right. The first 8 teams are seeded, and teams at home and they're at home in the second leg. So we'll be playing the first leg away, right? And the second leg will be at home. And the first leg is away on Thursday, 6th of March, and the second leg Thursday, 13th of March. What that means is we've got 2 midweek periods where we've got no midweek games, and we need that.
Wow.
Yeah, we need it. I mean, it means there'll be a week between games, or 5 or 6 days.
Yeah. Although if we do get to the League Cup final, they might have to move the Southampton game. I think it's Southampton or Fulham to midweek. So
when, Brad? When
And
do
on
we get?
well, they normally, to be fair, when they do that, they normally do it towards the end of the season. So
yeah. And on these games, European League yellow cards, Bergvall's got 3, so he'll be suspended. Kulusevski's got 2, Lancashire 2, Dragosin 2, Basuma 2, Bentancur.
Aren't they wiped off though after the initial start?
No, he's got 3, so I think he misses one of the legs, probably the away leg.
Don't think they get wiped until the semi-finals.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Article. From the first match of the league phase, players and team officials suspended for the next competition match after 3 cautions. So whether we get Alkmaar, Sociedad, and I can't remember the names of the other 2 teams.
Galatasaray and
whatever.
Another team I can't.
Something or other.
I don't think Bergvall, I stand to be corrected. I don't think Bergvall will miss that, right? So with that done, we'll move on to this. We're going to come to Liverpool in a minute. So as we all know, Thursday we got Liverpool away in the second leg of the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. Then we got Villa away in the Cup. Then we get Man United at home. Then we got Ipswich away and Man City at home to finish February with. So,
I look at that schedule and I just think, oh my God, look at all that days rest in between Villa and United. 7 whole days.
Whole week. What are we going to do for a whole week?
Right. So, moving on, scrolling down, because we're going to do the Liverpool preview. Right. Preview Liverpool vs Spurs Carabao Cup Semi-final, second leg. Predicted lineup. Right. I'm going to start with Ian because he's been watching.
I don't think there's any argument with this one, Kinski,
yeah? You guys in agreement?
Yeah, Kinski, yeah.
Right. Let's move on to someone else on the next lineup. Brad?
Well, it all depends on. You're probably going to have Spence and Porro as your fullbacks.
You guys in agreement? Yeah.
Yeah,
I am. Yeah.
Tom?
This is where it gets a bit interesting. Does he put Danso straight in? My thing is, if he puts Danso straight in, I wouldn't be surprised if he then keeps Archie Gray there and puts Davis at left back, and then either rests Porro or puts Spence on the bench. I actually feel like with Ange that he's more likely to play Davis left back and put Spence on the bench than he is to drop Gray or Davis, unless he decides to put Gray in midfield, or he, I don't know, for some reason drops Gray. I personally
you think we play Spence just because Liverpool pose pace on the wings?
Yeah, I think Spence. I think you could see. I mean, as much as we would probably like Porro to be rested, you could see Spence at left back because that's Mo Salah's on the right, isn't he?
Well,
and I think
and also the advantage of playing a right-footed player at left back against Salah is that Salah only tends to cut inside on his stronger foot, which then keeps Spence on his stronger foot as well. I mean, that is a tactic that I'd 100% employ there.
Spence did have Salah in his pocket in the game against Liverpool.
I think it's 100% right. He had Mbeumo in his pocket as well. I think if he doesn't play Spence at left back in this game, I think it will be a serious error. I think sometimes Ange gets some criticism, some of it warranted, some of it not, but it would certainly really disappoint me if he doesn't play Spence at right back.
I mean, there is talk of whether a player has to be registered a day before a League Cup game or something. So Danso may be not registered in time, but he's got to wait for his work permit to come through, isn't he? That sort of thing.
He'll be registered. His work permit would have come through today. They're normally pretty quick with work permits and stuff like that.
Well, if that's the case, then you just got to look at Ange's record. He put Van der Ven for his first game, didn't he, against Brentford after he had one training session. He put Kinski in straight away. So on that record,
and Johnson away at Arsenal as well.
Yeah, it's quite likely to play Danso if Danso's available. So it leaves a question mark on Gray. But you could actually, if you wanted to rest Porro, you could play Gray at right back.
I don't think he's gonna rest players for this game.
No, League Cup semi-final. No,
yeah, it's the biggest game for him. I think he'll go with tried and tested, which he may therefore not start Danso and then look to bring him on later in the game is probably the more likely thing to happen, especially that defence, Porro, Davis, Gray and Spence, kept a clean sheet against Brentford on Sunday. That was a bit backs against the wall, and I think that's going to be kind of what it is on Thursday as well. So,
and I think Davis and Gray have developed an understanding.
Yeah, I mean, Gray was full of praise after that Brentford game for Davis and the way that he talked him through the game and things like that. So, as much as I'd love to see Danso get started, it's a bit risky, disrupting a back line that's just kept a clean sheet.
That's true.
Right, now it gets even more interesting. Brad?
How many are we picking from here? Three,
yeah, well.
Oh, Kulusevski's always like a big question mark, isn't he? Because I always like him in the midfield. I much prefer him there than out on the right. I think he's too limited on the right with his only being left-footed. I think Bergvall and Bentancur will start. Bergvall scored the goal in the first leg. Only played half a game against Brentford. It's difficult, isn't it? Sarr came on a sub.
Yeah.
Again, it depends on who they play up front. If you're presuming that you're going to see Son and Richarlison as turvy forwards, does he play Mikey Moore up there? I'm only thinking of the front three, so we can sort out the midfield.
I think front three. I think he's going to go for transitional.
I'll come to the front three afterwards. We're on the midfield.
But I think 100% come to front three afterwards. But I think the front three will dictate.
I'm with Tom on this. I don't think you can talk about the midfield three without talking about who you're going to go up front with.
Yeah, I genuinely think the midfield that Ange is going to pick is going to be Sarr, Basuma, Bentancur, and he's going to pick that for legs and energy. I would rather see Basuma, Bergvall, Bentancur, because I think Bergvall's more composed on the ball. And when we get the ball, we're going to want to keep hold of it, but also progress it forward. And I think Bergvall can do that. However, I think he's probably going to pick Sarr just because he's got legs and energy to run around. And the reason why I'm not picking Kulusevski is because 100% he is going to start Kulusevski, Son and Richarlison as the front three.
Let us know in the chat who you think will be playing as well. Please join in.
He's also got to think. He's also got to think of the possibility of the game going to extra time. So he's got to think about planning his substitutions because he normally, and Ian, you'll probably back me up on this. He normally makes substitutions because of the way we play the game. Although I imagine that we're not going to be, we're going to be in our own defensive half a lot more than normal. But
Brad, do you think you'll leave the penalty takers on the bench till later on?
Don't even go there.
Can we bring on Harry Kane? Yeah, I'm absolutely with Tom. My thinking is exactly the same. I think Bergvall's just looked a little bit jaded the last couple of games. Just felt he's getting a little bit tired. So I'm going for and also I want the legs and I want the energy. So I'm going in the midfield with Bergvall, Sarr, and Bissouma. but that also means I can play Kulusevski out wide right, which means one, he can come back and help Porro, who we know sometimes struggles, but also come back and really make up a midfield 4 and maybe Son as well to a midfield 5. And then I think we're going Son left to Richarlison right, Richarlison middle, and Kulusevski right.
You may reconsider when you see the forwards I've got listed. To me, Bentancur starts. He's been immense in front of that back four in the last few games.
Actually, you're right. Yeah,
absolutely immense. So he's got to start.
Back in a minute, Adrian.
Okay, we'll wait.
Bentancur's going to be probably should be a lot fitter than the others because he's had a long layoff, hasn't he?
Yeah, Basuma's not played much either. I mean, my brain's really confused me. Who was the midfield 3 that started against Brentford?
We had
Kulusevski, wasn't it?
I think, and I think it's Basuma, Bentancur, and Kulusevski. Yeah.
I thought
Bergwall came on off the bench, didn't he?
Oh, he came on, did he? Okay, cool. Yeah. So
I think.
I think either way, I think he's going to play Kulusevski as the right winger because Kulusevski, I prefer Kulusevski in the middle, but in this game where we are going to be pinned back a lot, and it's transitional, that's where Kulusevski can do his best work as a right winger because he can pick that ball up and he can drive into the space and run forward and hit on the counter. Excuse me.
You want to give Liverpool some players to worry about up top, don't you? Really?
Yeah, and although I think Moore has played well, I think Moore is as fine as a player to come on. Like potentially we'll have Tell on the bench as well. We're actually going to have some firepower on the bench to come on if we need to obviously score goals and stuff.
So what we do, we'll go to the forwards and then we'll come back, give everyone a chance to reconsider, right? So I know what's on here, right? Because
well, I want to say something about the game. I think
we've got a choice of up front, right? Son, Moore, Richarlison, Scarlett, Tell, Kulusevski.
I think I agree with what the others were saying. Son, Richarlison, and Kulusevski. I'm not sure. Do we know if Tell is going to be registered in time?
Again, he should be. I imagine the registration would have come through today or tomorrow. As long as you're registered like 24 hours beforehand, you're fine. So they've got until tomorrow at 8 o'clock basically to get him registered by. So the work permit should come through because he has got work permits are normally pretty quick to come through for players that have played international football, and he's got international appearances and stuff. So that should come through pretty quickly.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tom. I think Moore and Scarlett will be on the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, Richarlison should be fired up for it because it's playing against his rivals, isn't it? Really, when he was at Everton. So,
and he scores at Anfield, doesn't he?
Yeah.
If I'm picking a front three, my reason is I'm going Son, Richarlison, and Tell, because of the pace Tell will give us on the right, and so that's why, because if we're going back to the midfield, we can switch this. So when everyone's fit, we're going to struggle to pick a lineup for him. To tell you. Right, but this is why I would go with Sarr. I would go Sarr, Bentancur, and Kulusevski. I think that really tightens it up. I think Sarr and Bentancur as a midfield pivot with Kulu as a sort of playing behind Tell.
I just worry with that there's not enough ball retention in that midfield. Kulusevski, don't get me wrong, he's great at holding on the ball and running up to it, but he does give the ball away quite a lot. Sarr also gives the ball away ququite a lot.
Well, then it'll be Basuma, Bentancur, and Kulusevski.
This is the one game that you don't want to be giving the ball away.
Yeah, and I feel like when we do get the ball, we want to make sure we kind of keep hold of it and stuff. Although I would like to see Kulusevski in the midfield because I think his energy would be really, really good. I just think that Liverpool are going to come flying at us. They're gonna. It's going to be a bit, backs to goal kind of stuff. So I genuinely. Yeah, I mean, there's every chance. I mean, we've gone for our defence, and someone's actually put it in the chat here that there's every chance that this big man VDV may actually be fit to play, which obviously adds a lot of things like that. I would just I would stick to as close to the Brentford lineup as possible. But the only change I would make is I would do, well, obviously Dragosin. Well, Dragosin can't play anyway. Didn't play anyway. But the only change I would make, and it saddens me to say this, I would be taking Moore out for another central midfielder, be it Bergvall, be it Sarr.
Romero might be even fit. He's close.
It could all be a ruse, couldn't it?
Yeah.
You never know. Ange does like these things, but to be honest, it's as much as I would love to see Romero and VDV on that team sheet on Thursday. There is a part of me that just feels we just come off a good result against Brentford, defending a lot of crosses and a lot of bits like that against players that, let's face it, are not too dissimilar to the makeup of Liverpool. And Buemo is very similar to Salah. Visser is very similar to Diaz and players like that. So and Kevin Schade, they have a good forward line. So sticking similar is not a bad thing to do. It's nice to have options, though, isn't it? Blimey, we haven't been able to kind of debate the starting 11 for the last few months. But I definitely 100% Basuma and Bentancur will be two of the midfielders. I think you could probably flip a coin between Sarr and Bergvall for the other one. I don't see a world in which Kulusevski doesn't start this game as right wing.
Yeah, I differ to that. I mean, like I said, I was sort of either Sarr, Bentancur, Kulu, or Basuma, Bentancur, and Kulu.
I'd love to see Matthias Tell start, but I actually think you get more from bringing Tell on than you do from starting him. Especially if we can keep it close. I think bringing him on creates. It's two situations that you're bringing Tell on the pitch for, isn't there? You're either bringing him on because you need to get a goal, or you're bringing him on because actually you want to give them something to think about going the other way. If we keep it at 0-0 for 60, 70 minutes, bring Matthias Tell on, and then you've got a player there that can really run them ragged when needed. So Ange has a few options for this game, which is refreshing. And I think we could see a few surprises, but don't be surprised if you're not surprised at the same time.
I'm just very worried about this game, actually.
It's
funny.
funny.
I showed that was the forward. So these are the forwards, really. So is that affect your midfield choice? Does it affect your midfield choice, or?
I'm going with Bentancur and Sarr in midfield. So that leaves me playing Kulusevski, Richarlison, and Son to start. Always the option. I mean, you've got three good options there in Moore, Scarlett, and Tell to potentially come on. Maybe they won't all come on, but depending upon the game, Richarlison may tire. And he's got the option of playing Tell at centre forward or playing him wide. You can take one of the midfielders off if they're not functioning, or two of them, and put Kulusevski into midfield. You look at that and say, yeah, there's a long way to go, but you've suddenly got a real bit of flexibility there in the squad of who can come on where. Look, we're getting there slowly. But yeah, I'm ahead of myself. I'm starting off with Son, Richarlison, and Kulusevski up top.
I wonder if Andrew goes Son, Tell, Kulusevski, and play Tell through the middle.
Yeah, I mean, basically that's exactly my reasoning. That's Alexander in the chat. That's exactly my reasoning.
Because you can always bring. Look, Richarlison hasn't impressed. Why should he? He hasn't earned the right to start this game. You could start.
Why has he not earned the right though? He's played 3 games, scored 2 goals since he's been back.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm being a bit biased because he looked all at sea in his last game. That's why. You know what I mean?
I think the one thing you're going to get from Richarlison is hard graft. He is going to put 100% effort in. He's going to close down balls. He's also, the thing with Richarlison as well is that he's very good to have in a team as a defensive player for corners and set pieces. He's very good at winning the ball in the air. He will run himself ragged, and if he can do that for 60 minutes, and then we can bring a Scarlett or a Tell on the pitch, then fan bloody tastic. I think he has scored 2 goals since coming back. So I think, I'm not his biggest fan. The main reason I'm not his biggest fan is because he's never fit. That's not necessarily because of the way he plays, but he is a hard grafter, and I think this game is going to need hard grafters.
Are we going to talk about? Are we going to do the predictions?
Well, yeah. I mean,
it looks like he's going to go for a solid midfield. Then Bentancur has to play.
Yeah.
So it's whether Basuma plays and he puts Kulu in there, or whether Sarr. I think Bergvall will be on the bench. Bergvall will be on the bench, and I think you pick 3 from these, then, don't you? It's whether Kulu plays on the wing or not. And just
Be interesting. Be interesting. I think the funny thing is when we went into the first game against Liverpool, I don't think anyone was feeling confident in any way, shape, or form. And everything that I was when at the ground speaking to people, Sean Butler and a few other people that I met at the game, Jim and Promoso Spurs and stuff like that, the general consensus was if we can go to Anfield and not be more than 2 goals down, we'll be happy. So the fact that we're going there with a goal advantage is obviously a very, very, very good thing. Now, what worries me as a Spurs fan, and is Spursy for you, is that we've just come off the back of 2 good results and we're kind of getting a bit of momentum.
I've got a few thoughts on this game. I think in some strange way, only winning by the goal might have been actually better psychologically than coming away with a 2 or 3 goal win, because now we know that we have to get a draw. We have to avoid defeat. Whereas if you're coming up there with a 2 goal win, subconsciously you're thinking, oh, we can let them score a goal, we're still in it. So in a way it might work out. I think we're going to have to score. I just think we're going to have to score.
Don't laugh. We have the best away defensive record in the Premier League.
Well,
apart from Liverpool thrashing us at home.
Yeah, the only thing
by the odd goal.
I tell you what really worries me: the 2 really good away performances away from home. Well, actually 3 if you consider Man United. But I'm talking about Man City, where we were under the cosh for a bit. I'm talking about Brentford. Was that we didn't concede. And what worries me with this team is if we concede a goal, we seem to fall apart. We saw it against Brighton. We were 2-0 up. They scored the goal. We fell apart. We saw it against Chelsea. We were 2-0 up. We conceded. We fell apart. Against Man City, we didn't concede that goal. And we kept that momentum. And I was always worried even at 3-0 against Man City, if we score, if they get us 1, then I think we're going to fall apart. I felt the same against Brentford as well. And against Liverpool, I'm not going in with the only feeling I've got about this game is Spurs always do what you don't expect them to do. So that's the only hope I've got in this game. But I think going up there, it was a great performance against Brentford, but Brentford aren't Liverpool. So I'm sorry to be negative, people, but I'm just trying to be realistic. But I think we definitely have to score, and if we do score, well then maybe we might just do it. It might even. Well, I hope it doesn't go to penalties, to be honest.
We'll finish with a chat about Ange. We've got 41 viewers at the moment, which is fantastic at this time, right? We're obviously picking up more and more from probably America, Canada, and things like that. And just to reassure you, we will be doing shows at 10 o'clock UK time on Fridays. We do a couple of 8 o'clock shows for the UK and the Europeans, but we will be doing that, so you'll get to see more of us. Right? So that's on that. So we're finished with a little chat about Ange because his job has been mentioned in the media, ad nauseum, basically. And do you think this game, guys, all of you, do you think his job's on the line with this game or the next few games, or do you think he's secured his tenure, or any of you?
Did you ask me there, Adrian?
Yeah, I'm asked you then. Go on. Then.
Yeah. No, I get the distinct impression that a lot of the pressure is off. With everything in football, you're only ever 2 games away from being back in a crisis. But the implication of the players he's bought, of getting Tell to talk, getting him to talk to Tell, I think that they're absolutely determined to see this project through. Obviously, if we go out of 2 cups in 5 days or 4 days, that is not going to be good. But no, I think Angie's pretty safe, and he's still in Europe. We're not in any danger of getting relegated. We are, we're to all intents and purposes 11 points clear of the drop zone with a 38 difference in goals or whatever it is. So no, I think Ange is safe, and I think we'll see it through to the end of this season. I think getting another couple of players in, I think they'll stick with this project. I think Levy's not stupid. He must know you constantly change the manager and keep being unsuccessful. You say, okay, I'm going to stick with this manager. And remember, he's got a big fan in Scott Munn. Well, he knows that they know each other from working together in Japan, and I'm absolutely certain that it was Munn that put the idea of Postecoglou into Levy's head. So I think they're going to stick with this, and I really hope we do. Really hope we do, because if we're successful, we will be and win. And I'm talking about winning a cup or two. That in the short term, that we'll be doing it. Playing good Tottenham football.
Brad?
I can't see him. He's here for the rest of the season. I think there's no doubt about that. Personally, I have a horrible feeling that we're going to get out of 2 cups within 4 or 5 days. But that said, the win against Brentford, I think, has really killed all relegation talk. Not that it ever was really that serious, but yeah, we're right. We're effectively 11 points with 14 games, which means 3 of the worst teams in the Premiership have got to gain 11 points on us, and you can't see them doing that. So I'm not saying we're going to suddenly shoot up the table. I do think that with the Europa League knockout stages coming around about March, where hopefully we've got some players back and the new players are bedded in, I think we're going to give that a real crack. I really do. And of course, that means Champions League football. So even though I'm a little bit negative saying that I think we're going to get 2 cups in 4 or 5 days, I think we've got a really good chance in the Europa League. And I think we win enough games to be quite comfortable in the Premier League. I don't think we're going to get relegated. And I think I would love us to win a cup for the simple fact that I'm sick and tired of everyone going on saying, he says, I always wear a trophy in my second season, which he didn't actually really say. They interviewed him about that, and he said, well, the fact is I've won a trophy in my second season in every club I've been to. That's the facts. But ask me the same question at the end of this season. So he never actually said it in the arrogant way that everyone seems to be painting him with. So yeah, I like Ange Postecoglou. I'm still a little bit unsure whether his system of play will work in the Premier League. Premier League's a lot harder than a lot of other leagues. But I'll tell you what, it's good. It's good fun to watch. I think with the players come back, I think we're going to do a lot better than people think we will. I like his interviews. I know he winds a lot of people up. I like that. I mean, I lived in Australia for many, many years, so I do know the Australians, and he is very, very Australian, despite his Greek background. But no, he just says it how it is, and but people seem to get wound up by that. I'd love to win a trophy just to push it back in the faces of people as, I always won a trophy in my second year. Well, there you go. There's my frigging trophy.
Right, I'll get Tom's take on it. Then for a bit of fun, I'll ask you all if you're Ange in or Ange out, and that includes you lot in the chat. We want to just type in or out. It'd just be interesting. We pride ourselves on being a mature and sensible Spurs group, and we don't mind a bit of fun and a laugh. We don't avoid the controversial stuff, but we just don't like to talk about it every podcast, right? So yeah. So go on, Tom, your take on Ange.
My take on Ange is the club doesn't let Ange speak to incoming players on the telephone if they're not behind him. You know what I mean? If the club are thinking that they want to get rid of Ange if we get knocked out of the cup in the next 5 days or whatever, they don't let him speak to Tell on the phone. They don't get him involved in that. They don't get Kevin Danso in. That's just not what happens. I think Ange has a job at Spurs as so long as he has a chance of us being in Europe next year. And at this present moment in time, he has 4 opportunities to get into Europe next year. League is obviously looking very, very ropey in terms of qualification, but we can get into Europe via the Carabao Cup. We can get into Europe via the FA Cup. We can get into Europe via the Europa League. I wouldn't be surprised if we win on Thursday. I wouldn't be surprised for us to not put the strongest team out against Villa. I don't think Ange will do that because I think Ange wants to win every game he's played. He's said as much as that. But like, if we get through to the final of the Carabao Cup, I wouldn't be over the top sad if we got knocked out of the FA Cup. I want to win the FA Cup. Don't get me wrong. I want to win every competition we're in, but I wouldn't be absolutely raging if we got knocked out of the FA Cup, because then it gives us more opportunity to focus on the Europa League. Like, would you? I don't know. Here's a question for you all. And I hate these would you rather questions and hypothesis questions, because start of the season everyone was saying, oh, would you take finishing 16th and a trophy? And everyone's like, yeah, I'd take that. Yeah, 100%.
Me too.
And then as soon as we're in 16th and potentially win, everyone's like, oh god, I hate it. So I don't think us as Spurs fans necessarily have the minerals for a lot of these would you rather questions. But would you rather, ignore the Carabao Cup for a second, would you rather win the Europa League or the FA Cup?
Europa.
Europa.
Brain-wise, Europa, because it's a European trophy. European trophy is always going to be above a domestic trophy. It's Champions League qualification, that sort of stuff. Being one of the old, we're all, apart from you, Tom, we're all in this elderly age bracket. The FA Cup's got a certain magic.
I knew ageism would come into it sooner or later.
And the only thing from a purely personal point of view, it's easier for me to get to Wembley than it is to get to Istanbul or wherever it is. So yeah, but no. Look, the Europa League is definitely more than the FA Cup.
So you're Angie, Brad, yeah?
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. I mean,
Ian?
Let's face it. If we do go out the cup in the next, and I'm hoping, please prove me wrong. Please, look, next Tuesday, get me on the channel and laugh at me if we win both games, please. But I'm just, even if that does happen, we get knocked out of 2 cups within 4 or 5 days. It means we've been knocked out by a team that are so clear at the top. They're top of the league in the Champions League. We're playing them at Anfield. It's like there's no disgrace to losing against Liverpool in the cup, and Aston Villa are one of the better teams in the league as well. So it's no disgrace losing at their ground. So, everyone's saying, if he loses the 2 cup games, he's going to be sacked. That's rubbish talk, absolutely rubbish talk.
Yeah, agreed.
And we've beaten the Brentford win. I think was very important. It will give us confidence, but it will get rid of the, we're relegation. We're in a relegation battle sort of thing. Which I never say never, but it was silly talk, and now it's just silly, really, really, really stupid talk now.
So I think we're all engine then.
And the other thing, which no one ever seems to address, who's going to replace him? One, if we were to say Ange Postecoglou next week and become 18-month FC like we normally are, who's going to want to come and manage Tottenham? Who?
This whole time, I've not really been Ange in and I've not been Ange out, because I've been tell me who's coming in and then I'll tell you. Because
exactly.
And I know that's a really stupid thing to say in some ways, because you're never going to know who's coming in before someone goes out. But my biggest thing was I didn't see who we could bring in that is beneficial to Tottenham Hotspur for the long-term future. We could maybe bring someone in that stops us from getting relegated this season, but relegation wasn't, as much as people want to go on about it was never really a threat. We're still perfectly capable of being dragged into a relegation battle now, don't get me wrong, but like I said, there's an 11-point disparity between us and the bottom 3. They've got to pick up 11 points without us picking up any points. I just don't see a world in which that happens, especially when we've just gone to Brentford, who had the best home record in the Premier League this season, and we are now only the second team to pick up a win at Brentford. And not only that, we didn't concede a goal. So, Ange has proved that he can dig out results and enough to get us by. I don't see the benefit in getting rid of Ange. Like, we're not getting relegated, so there's no point in worrying about that. We're still in all three cups. You know, it seems illogical that it's even a bit of a debate to me. Come the end of the season, depending on how the season goes, then make a decision, because then you've got time to plan and make a sensible decision, and it's easier to get the people in that you want to get in. You know, I don't see, like, if we sack Ange now, there's only one thing that happens, and that one thing is that Ryan Mason becomes manager.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, and that is literally all that happens. Like, and I don't feel that Ryan Mason gets any more out of this team than what Ange is getting out of them now. And so I just don't see the need. Like, I'm not saying that I want Ange to stay next season, because I'm still tenuous on that. But at the same time, I don't want Ange to be sacked. So I want us to proceed with the rest of the season with Ange, and then make an informed decision on how the season has gone as a whole, on what we've achieved in this season or not achieved in the season, and then you make a decision from there. I just think people who are calling for Ange Postecoglou to go now they're seriously playing with fire of what could, like, sacking the manager when we were, you know, say we hadn't beaten Brentford, sacking the manager there, I just think you're really playing, especially when the team are very clearly behind Ange Postecoglou as well. I just think
he certainly got the dressing room. Yeah, I don't think you can make the argument.
Right, before we go into predictions, I just want to throw a bit of madness into this, right? Because my obsession with Spurs probably runs too deep. It's probably affecting my brain badly. Because we don't know what the outcome of the semi-final second leg is going to be, or Villa, or the Europa League. But for those that you like a bet, in case this should happen, right? I did dream that Spurs won the FA Cup 2-1. Nothing about the other two competitions. So all I'm saying is, it's probably me going nuts in my old age, right? But should we get past Villa, just think about that, because sometimes it's like we all want to dream we get the lottery numbers up, you know? I'm going to start first. I'm going to go 1-1 Thursday, Brad. And we've got 53 watching, which is brilliant.
I just can't see us getting past Liverpool. I think 3-1. I think Liverpool, and I think they'll lead 3-0, and then we'll get a goal back, and then we'll all be filled with hope. And sorry to apologise, but that's. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Part of it is a little bit of reverse psychology. I'm trying not to build myself up to get too excited.
We don't remember Klinsmann scoring there or Garth Crook scoring there when we won.
I remember that. I was actually listening to that game in Australia on Saturday Special, what used to be BBC World Service, and they had commentary from that game, and it was 1-1. And it was about 5 minutes to go, and they stopped because they had to go to the news. So at the end of the news, they had the football scores, and it was, and in the FA Cup, Liverpool won Tottenham too. So that's when I found out we'd won that.
Scoring.
So I think maybe a bit of it is not trying to build myself to get too excited.
What score are you going for, Ian?
Tomorrow or Sunday?
Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah, sorry, I don't know what day it is.
Too jet lag.
2-1 Tottenham. Go on.
Ooh.
2-1 Tottenham.
I think in these situations you've got to be positive, and I'm positive that there's going to be a lot of goals scored on Thursday. And I just hope that the majority of them go into Liverpool's net rather than ours. I think 2-2.
Another Wanyama 2-2 game, yeah.
Desmond, yeah.
Well, I think we only got 2 points off of Liverpool, haven't we? In the last.
I mean, our record at Liverpool is not good. It's not good. But
our record at a lot of places is not good.
Well, yeah, you could say that. Our record at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium this season is not good. But you know, we've not done well there. But I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit of a momentum. There's a good feeling. Like maybe that is the typical, Tottenham build you up to knock you down kind of thing. But I think we'll score. Definitely, I think we'll score. It's just, can we not concede more than we score? Is going to be the thing. I don't think it's going to be interesting, because the thing that I've kind of always felt with Ange is that he'll always go into every game wanting to win the game. Like he's not going into this game thinking a draw's enough. He's thinking
I agree with
a win's better. And it's going to be really interesting, because this is the first time under Ange's reign of Spurs where we'll get to see this mentality of going into a second leg of a cup tie. We're already winning. What's he going to do? We know if this was Conte or Mourinho, they'd be battening down the hatches and hoping to sneak a 0-0 or maybe a 1-0 and stuff like that. I'm not sure Ange is going to do that. So that's why I think there'll be a lot of goals. Like I said, I just hope we can score as many or more as what Liverpool can do. And that's why I'm going for a Desmond 2-2.
Okay. Right, we're going to end the show there. I really want to thank everyone who's viewed us. We had 52 watching this, which is, for this late time, is excellent. We will be doing a late show Friday at 10 o'clock in UK evening to cater for you, so you can see more of our content online. You can see the ticker below. I mean, we are on XCOM under my name. I can't get it changed to Spurs Diehards. I don't know why. But please subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, and leave a comment. And we also have a Facebook group which has got nearly 14,500 members. I wish more would come over to here, but obviously some people don't only like certain social media. If you can hit the likes and subscribe, it's brilliant. I want to thank our guest Brad, a regular friend of the show. Did we get his Blue Sofa Songs link up, anyone?
Yeah, we put it up. Someone put it up.
I did put it up.
You put it up, Tom. Can you want to put it up again?
Put it up again if you can find it.
Brad.
Normally, I pre-shows, I normally put them in the banners and I put them in the comment section to start off with. I've been busy though. Sorry about that, Brett.
That's all right. I'm sure. There we go. I'm sure everybody knows. Watching probably know about it. But if you don't, I write my own songs.
And I've got a couple of other announcements. Obviously, like our shows go out Tuesdays at 8 o'clock UK time, Fridays 10 o'clock. And Sundays at 8 o'clock, where Ian usually hosts if he's not on his travels and doing things like that. but on the 17th, the Friday before, we learn who we got in the Europa League. Ian's got. You want to tell him about Kieran Maguire? Ian,
yes, God, yeah. Monday the 17th. Should have plugged that early when we had a bigger audience. I managed to secure an interview with Kieran Maguire, the author of. What's the
Price of Football?
The Price of Football. Football's leading financial analyst, to talk about all things Tottenham. I mean, he knows I've asked him on to talk about Tottenham, and I suspect he must get a lot of these. And maybe he thinks talking about Tottenham might be more interesting. Also, I'm hoping upon hope that there might be some takeover info before that. But we did the thing with
Julie Welch
Sean a couple of weeks ago. This will be a lovely follow up to that. Sorry, Tom, can you put the Brad thing up, because there's Blue Sofa Songs, because there is a movie at the moment called A Complete Unknown. What you might not know is that movie is actually about Brad Matthews, singer-songwriter extraordinaire, girlfriend of Joan Baez, protege of Pete Seeger, A Complete Unknown, Brad Matthews, YouTube, Blue Sofa Songs, 8917.
Cheers,
there
Ian.
you go.
Yeah, just on Kieran Maguire, he is a Brighton fan, but he also lectures on football finance at Liverpool University. Yeah. So he's a thoroughbred in the financial field of football. So
should be good. So please do tune in for that. Go on anyway.
Yeah, look, I don't go on a lot of shows as much as I used to, but this is one of the better ones that are out there. So. Please click like and subscribe to these.
Thanks, Brad.
And if they got Twitter handles, go and follow them on Twitter and Facebook and all that sort of stuff.
Well, we pride ourselves on being a fact-based, mature.
It is a good show. It's I got fed up with all the moany shows that are out there, but this one's pretty good. And I have to say that having Kieran Maguire on, I don't get a chance to watch a lot of shows either, but I did watch the one with Sean Butler, and I thought that Sean Butler was very good. I thought it was very interesting, and I'm sure the Kieran Maguire one will be up there as well.
I enjoyed doing that show, Brad.
Just
to do something different, and so something a little bit grown up, and not the usual hyperbole. There's plenty of Levy out shows. You want to subscribe to them, that's fine. This is just we don't have a position on it. If someone comes along and makes Levy an offer, we'll talk about it maturely, like we do try to do with everything. But thanks for your words, Brad. And thanks for the comments of people in the chat as well. Really appreciate them.
Yeah. Right. I want to thank you all. And I'm going to play you out. Not yet. Play you out.